In a way, we're all victims to life's ceaseless need to repeat our worst moments. And for me, the lowest moment of my life was when I lost all the footage for my Big Wave Beach Nut Challenge run. It was soul crushing to have to play the hardest world in the game a second time to collect footage. And of course, me being the pitiful moron that I am, I lost the footage for the first half of this world a second time round. Truly, this is a cursed world. Day 1 was business as usual. At least it was until I accidentally created a weirdly buoyant walnut. Even with this floaty little fella, this was a hard level. We had to spam walnuts like crazy to hold them off. I don't really remember what happened the first time round on day 2, but during my second run through of the game trying to scrap together footage, I made a kind of profound discovery. The suck and blow technique kind of hard counters this world. Like, actually trivialized it. Now this is only the early game, but I have a feeling towards the end, this might still be pretty viable. Day 3 is another one of them advert conveyor belts, and this is the saddest one of them all. I can't believe they locked my guy behind a £1 paywall. What is even the point? Well, the point is to get people comfortable with the idea of spending money on the game as an icebreaker of sorts, but that's not very fun to think about. Day 4 is another strong garlic carry. At this stage of the game, the only difficulty we're having is these flash floods that spawn imps halfway down the lane, but we can just blow them away. I do wonder what the implication of zombies wielding Greek flags is though. Day 5 is the pea shooter special, something really necessary this late into the game. Day 6 limits us to just 2 plants, something this world really likes to do. We're given a sun producer and a walnut, which does help us a lot, so I go with the sweet potato and the gumnut for this one. And it works a charm. The gumnut is all but unusable in this world as you can't use it on lily pads, and even if you do find a spot to use it, the water washes it away. In fact, to my knowledge, the water is the only thing in the game that can instantly kill gum. I placed 2 sweet potatoes like this, which circumvents the need for garlics. I'm only now realizing this version is way superior to the garlic setup, as it doesn't crumble to a single instant kill zombie. But garlics are the sickest plant to ever do it, so they're staying. Day 7 introduces us to the first special zombie in the world, which is actually really late. It's the snorkel zombie, and I'm not exaggerating when I say this next bit, but holy shit, this zombie is the bane of this world for this run. So much worse than the other gimmick zombies in fact. This might be the worst zombie of the challenge so far. Now I know what you're thinking, how is it even possible when these freaks exist? But I swear to God, I lost every single level in this world to these guys. I have easily over 100 failed attempts here due to this one zombie. This water must be the sweat and tears of the Greek gods, because it makes these snorkel zombies immune to fucking everything. To my knowledge, this is the only zombie that is immune to the time warp. That in itself isn't the end of the world, we've already beaten some difficult worlds without the time warp. But in this world specifically, we're already down one of our ace players and we can't afford to lose another one. We have access to a single plant that can deal with the snorkel zombie, and that's the hurricane, which is a huge part of the reason why the suck and blow is just so effective in this world. But I didn't know that the first time around, so this level took me a good few hours. Day 8 is a much deserved breather, and day 9 was a mold colony level. This pattern looks cool, but it's so unsubstantial it's barely a challenge. I just planted my sunflowers like this and it was fine. Though there was 4 waves, so this was still challenging. Day 10 is a conveyor belt level, and I love this one as it gives you the bowling bulbs and puts them next to the regular pea shooter, as this is like the one plant in the game that it can outshine in damage. Day 11 is another 2-slot challenge, and I run it back with the sweet potato gumnut combo. This time we have surfers to deal with, and they do make it much harder, but we barely clutch it up. I have a really cool trick for these surfers that will come up later though. Day 12 is a plan your defense level, and we beat it with this setup again. Fear not, dear viewer, as this strategy falls apart very quickly as the tougher zombies start coming. An interesting facet of a plan your defense level in this world is that because the water blocks plants, we can start the world by spamming 4 or 5 spearmints and get like all the sun we'll ever need. This also allows you to plant spike rocks on lily pads, which is just so wrong. I assumed this was a glitch, so I tested it out, but no, you can just do this. Why can you put a spike rock on a lily pad but not a gumnut? All it does is make the spike weed edible. Day 13 was weird. At first the 20 plant limitation seems laughable, but when you consider that every plant needs to be on a lily pad, it basically means that you only get to use 2 rows. Luckily for us, once again, the suck and blow is a very space efficient strategy. This level also requires you to generate 2000 sun, which again seems ultra insignificant, but it means that you can't skimp out too hard on the sunflowers. Day 14 doesn't let you pick your plants. I hate that I established that I cover every single level in these videos. 1, because now everyone's doing it and it's boring. But 2, I end up saying this level doesn't let you pick your plants like 60 fucking times a video. Day 15 is the first major run ender of the world. We need to protect a row of potato mines. This is the first level where I have the original footage. I spent about 3 hours on this level and I just couldn't do it. Surviving this onslaught was already tough enough, but I think it might actually be impossible due to the snorkels. It just makes it so you have virtually no time to move all the mines around. There was this one attempt where I lined everything perfect and it was looking like we were going to win, and then this happened. Just fantastic. So I just gave up on this level. But now, me and you have the hindsight of knowing that the sweet potato kind of solos this world, so I gave it a go. And it was easy, legitimately did it first time with no fault. I know we don't have the real threats of this world unlocked yet, but I can't believe the performance of the sweet potato here. Day 16 is a mental breather before the hell starts. Day 17, Octo bloke is here. And this zombie is difficult to deal with in a normal playthrough of the game, where you can actually clear the little shits. But in this challenge, we're slightly cream cheesed. You can't blow them away and you can't warp them back in time. You can't even grave bust them. After hours of digging and research, I can only find two possible ways for us to deal with these octopuses in this challenge. The first of which is an ultra niche interaction that I'm willing to bet none of you know about. Of all the instant use plants in the game that don't deal damage, the one that can actually kill octopuses is the hot potato, if it's level 5. The only plant that can get us out of this slimy situation is a plant that I claim to be one of the strongest plants in the entire game, and a plant that fell short time and time again during this challenge. But this time, the Boing Setter is finally able to prove her might and carry a world. Not only does the Boing Setter aid in pushing all the zombies back, she clears every octopus on the map, and the surfboards, which is actually pretty big as well. With a new ace up my wizard sleeve, we crush this level. Day 8 is the Guacodile tutorial. I recently had guac for the first time. It's fairly rare in the UK, and I became obsessed with it. Like every other day, me and my girlfriend were buying rotisserie chickens and making guac and chicken sandwiches. Craziest sandwich I've ever had. I love guac. Day 19 is yet another 2-slot level. I actually think this level might be close to impossible with only 2 slots, but I do allow myself to purchase the 3rd slot in these levels. And with the Boing Setter to keep our sweet potatoes safe from octopuses and surfboards, this level wasn't too bad. Day 20, I go all in with our solo carry overlord, the Boing Setter. Then I remember why I have a love-hate relationship with this plant. Love that it's a cool, non-lethal plant that inspired this whole challenge. Love its visual design, seriously one of the best modern plants. Hate that when I beat a stage, Octo zombies will start spawning 5 whole minutes after the level's ended. There's just no way zombies are getting pushed back 5 minutes worth of distance. It's absurd. That's like 30 times the length of the entire map. That has to be a stupid bug, and if it is, that bug has cost me hours of my life. Day 21 is the homing thistle showcase. In my mega ranking video, I called this plant transphobic as a replacement to the cattail. And I was asked to explain my reason for this easily over 100 times. So here you go, here's my official explanation. It was a joke. Day 22 brings us the last zombie of this world, the fishing zombie. This guy is the absolute worst, but we do have access to the infinite, which is the biggest counter to him. What I'm more concerned about is that I think I'm once again the victim of the Mandela effect. I could have sworn PopCap made a great big deal out of a brand new zombie that wore a raincoat and had the ability to resist electric plants. Like, I vividly remember that being added to this world, but it's nowhere to be seen. It's weird. Day 23 was a little tease. You need to protect these disturbingly cute banana freaks. I love them. The difficulty of this level is actually really unique. This isn't too bad of a setup. Normally these levels are hard because we have to somehow make room for zombies to pass through. The real difficulty of this level comes from the fact that we're given 3 very high damage AoE splash plants. And because of that, the zombies are way amped up. There is just every kind of horrible zombie and gargs out the wazoo. I was so close to beating this level first time until I panicked and accidentally clicked on the banana launcher. Brutal mistake. I did beat it on the clapback though. Day 25 gives us a spending cap of 3,000 sun. I beat this one first time, but I had to use up every penny we were allowed. This one came down to the wire. In day 27, I pull one of my all-time greatest throws. This level was so tight, and when the mowers are about to go down just after the last wave hit, I was worried that not all the zombies were going to be on the screen. So I panicked and used a time warp, which allowed the zombies to perfectly dodge the lawnmower. This one almost broke me. Day 28, the big one. For those more casual PvZers among you, this level is widely considered the hardest in the game. It's a brutal assault from the most difficult zombies the world has to offer, and you're only allowed to lose 5 plants. That clause is what made this level impossible in the nut challenge, and it's also what caused me to barely attempt this level. I didn't even give this level an hour, which is lame, but come on, look at this mess. But in a weird twist, I later received a message from someone claiming to have beat this level, and they even had video proof. So I went back to this level and stuck it out. Turns out, even with video proof to act as a guide, this level is brutal and took hours upon hours. The main reason being that this is just a huge RNG fest. The biggest obstacle for this level is the lily pads that we start with. They're just sitting ducks. Luckily, if you place an infinite on a lily pad, zombies won't eat the lily pad, even if the nut dies. They just walk past it. So the plan is to fill the screen as fast as possible with lily pads and infinites. This was difficult because even if a single lily pad got eaten, it was game over, we had to restart. Every lane is filled except for these two, and there's two crucial reasons for this. Firstly, these two lanes have fishermen pop up, and these are another huge cause of restart, so by having these lanes almost empty, it takes much longer for the fishermen to pull the nuts off. Secondly, we need at least one lane to full before the others so we have a safe road to put escape routes in. That's the whole strategy actually, it's not too complicated. There's just one small issue. The surfer zombies cannot decide how they interact with infinites. Surfer zombies permanently kill infinites with their surfboards, except for when they don't. But infinites can protect themselves with their plant food, as the barrier blocks surfboards, except for when it doesn't. And if you're really in a pinch like the final wave where 10 of these guys pops up, we can use a reinforcement to cause every single infinite to enter a state of iframes, which makes them completely invincible to everything in the entire game, except the occasional surfboard. I'm 90% sure this is just a glitch, as these tiny inconsistencies only happen in about 1 in 10 surfers. But there's like 40 of them in this level, so it just always happens. I'd love to pretend I worked really hard to beat this level, but I didn't. I watched 2 seasons of Peep Show back to back, and I barely paid any attention as I just rolled the dice correctly. Day 29 is quite tame in comparison, just a quick plan your defense level. It has a tiny budget, but again, we can just spam spearmints and essentially double it. We aced this one first try. There isn't really any dull moments in this world, so I'm just going to slap the PowerPoint here. For this week's presentation, I'm going to have to urge you to hear me out on this one, because it sounds boring, but I promise, this is a really soulful story to me. And I think it's pretty juicy. This is the story behind my favourite flower. My favourite flower is the chrysanthemum. It's not the most common flower, I don't really know anything about it, I don't know where it grows, and I'm not even really a flower person. So why chrysanthemums? Well, it goes back to my high school exams. Most countries have some sort of exam system which largely determines which college or uni you're going to go to. In the UK, our English exam consists of learning 12 poems back to front. Now, I performed very poorly in school. I only found out a couple years ago it was due to undiagnosed ADHD, and I was barely getting past school with passes. But one day in English class, I was given a big leak. The way our English tests worked is it consists of 20 questions in which you compare poems. So for an example, a question will say something like, the poem Charge of the Light Brigade contains themes of ruination in X and Y. Give another example of a poem and how it has themes of ruination. Pretty boring stuff. Now, my English teacher was one of my favourite teachers, and she gave me a massive clue. Odor of Chrysanthemums. Now, Odor of Chrysanthemums is a very boring poem, maybe the most boring poem of all time. I can't even remember what it's about. Off the top of my dome, I think it's about the widowed wife of a coal miner. I'm really not sure. It's 5 times bigger and wordier than any other poem, and it's a slog to read. But here's the bomb. My teacher told me that the paper raters hate this poem and virtually never use it as an example. With that in mind, I cracked down. I studied this poem inside and out. I read it back to front. This was honestly the only time I ever revised in my entire life. I called it the Odor Gambit. If I was going to flunk this test anyway, I might as well give it a shot. If I answer every single question with Odor of Chrysanthemums, then surely I'm just collecting easy marks. As long as they don't ask a question about Odor of Chrysanthemums, it was a surefire hit. And somehow, I fucking aced it. I scored a perfect A star, my only good grade ever. In a sea of C's and D's and F's, I had 1 A star. And that's because I wrote down the answer Odor of Chrysanthemums 20 times. To me, that's when the phrase work smarter, not harder really clicked. And as a cute aside, my girlfriend bought me some Lego chrysanthemums for our last anniversary. This was another level I wrote off as impossible until someone else proved it possible. We need to protect a row of crocodiles that are trying their hardest to kill zombies. Unbelievably, there is an answer to this level, and surprise surprise, it's the sweet potato again, and a lot of solar sages. By clearing out 2 lanes with escape routes, we can make 2 safer lanes for the zombies to filter into. The issue arises here as we can't use gun nuts to hold them down, and even the hurricane can't stop the fishermen from ruining it all. So instead, we spam solar sages. I know it's kind of lame, but it's the only way. This level is even worse than day 28, as it's even more RNG dependent. We heavily rely on the solar sage to double if not triple infect sometimes. And past the first, it's only a 10% chance of spreading. And past the first, it's only a 10% chance of infecting another zombie. This level was biblical hell, but we got through it. Day 31, given plants. This world actually managed to suck even more than I was expecting. It sucked so bad, I can't even be bothered to rate a proper outro. Sorry this video took so long, come back next week, Balloons Tower events video coming soon, cheers. This is also your last chance to come watch me stream this challenge live. I'll be on Twitch as soon as this video's up. Come watch us finally put this challenge to bed.